Markets unsettled ahead of Jackson Hole Summit. Wall Street stocks finished marginally higher on Tuesday, with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite indexes closing at fresh all-time highs. Investors are now awaiting the Fed's Jackson Hole gathering. Powell is scheduled to speak on Friday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.1%, the S&P 500 edged up 0.15%, and the Nasdaq Composite advanced 0.52%. Asian markets were mixed on Wednesday, with MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan just below the flat line. At the end of the previous week, the index fell to its lowest in 2021. Meanwhile, the yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury notes rose to their highest in 1.5 weeks. The Shanghai Composite Index rose 0.74%, and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong fell 0.13% to 25,615.67. The Nikkei 225 in Tokyo was down less than 0.1%, and in Europe, equities closed mixed on Wednesday, with the Pan-European Stock 600 index rising just 0.01% in early deals. On the data front, UK retailers reported the sharpest increase in spending for almost 7 years in August, but inventories fell to the lowest levels on record. The headline German IFO Business Climate Index worsened to 99.4 in August versus last month's 100.8 and the consensus estimates of 100.4. Meanwhile, the ESB Vice President Luis de Guindos said that the central bank could again revise upwards macroeconomic projections for Eurozone in a few days. Against this backdrop, the dollar paired light intraday gains as the euro climbed back to the flat line after the latest comments from the ECB official. The euro-USD derived support from the 1.1730 area to recover to the 1.1770 region. Still, the common currency lacks upside momentum to regain a more sustained bullish bias as the greenback remains relatively steady in general. Elsewhere, Brent crude gained over 11% since the beginning of the week. Oil prices regained the $70 handle to extend the ascent above the $71 handle on Wednesday. According to the EIA report, crude inventories fell 2.979 million barrels last week, compared with expectations for a draw of 2.683 million barrels. Distillate stockpiles rose 645,000 barrels in the week, while gasoline inventories fell 2.242 million barrels. U.S. stocks extended gains overnight, with the financial and energy companies leading the S&P 500 to another all-time high. The benchmark edged up 0.2% on Wednesday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.1%, and the Nasdaq gained 0.15%. Investors are now looking toward the Federal Reserve's annual convention in Jackson Hole, which begins today. On the data front, U.S. durable goods orders dropped 0.1% in July, slightly better than the negative 0.3% forecast the previous month, and left unchanged at 0.8%. The decline was largely due to a 49% fall in commercial aircraft orders, following a 4.7% gain in June and a 50.7% jump in May. Investors are now eyeing an update on U.S. GDP and jobless claims on Thursday, ahead of a speech by the Fed's Powell on Friday. Asian equities slipped on Thursday despite Wall Street stocks rising to their all-time highs for the second straight day. The MSCI IC Asia Pacific shares snapped a 3-day rally, with Chinese tech companies slumping on disappointing earnings and Beijing's crackdown on private industries. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 gained less than 0.1%, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng gave up 1.61%. The Shanghai Composite was down over 10%. The Kospi in South Korea lost over 0.8% after the country's central bank raised its policy rate by 25 basis points. In other markets, Bitcoin surged to more than 3-month highs on Monday, but failed to preserve upside momentum and has been correcting lower since then. The price briefly exceeded the $50,000 psychological level before retreating to the $48,500 region on Wednesday. Of note, despite the recent rally, Bitcoin trading volume remains subdued, suggesting the ascent may not be sustainable. Low volume also implies that the market is not ready for a decisive break above the $50,000 handle just yet. Furthermore, the BTC price dipped to $46,700 on Thursday and could threaten the $45,000 figure in the short term if pressure persists. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe to always be in touch with the latest market news.